I want to put words to something that I've noticed for a while about the versus technique, but I hadn't exactly put words to it until now. And I think it's really cool. It's basically that I'm going to use this as an example, the 3 trimesters of pregnancy, because I'm on OB right now, on my OB-GYN rotation. So I was thinking about it and I'm trying to do my splits for OB-GYN. Like, okay, I'll split it into OB versus GYN, and then OB is pregnant, GYN is not, and then OB, most important overarching way to split it is by time, but I wanted to make it 2 because I want it to be a yin and yang versus. I want it to be 2 items, not 3, that I'm thinking about and comparing. So my default these days, after doing this for a while and figuring things out, is to just usually omit the middle one, because the 2 extremes are usually more like different from one another, and therefore usually like the contrast and the relationships between them are usually more important. A lot of times if you have a beginning and an end, the middle part will just be like kind of a combination of both or somewhere in between both, kind of how you would intuitively expect. So because of that, it's not that important to like remember things about it. Those things kind of just fall somewhere in between the other 2. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to split it into the beginning versus the end, the first versus the 3rd trimester. And then if I wanted more detail, I could add in the second, but that's not what I'm going to think of first. And that's when I had the realization that I kind of just explained, which is that when I try to encourage, if I'm talking about this technique, I try to encourage people to like when you're trying to get big picture with it and build your framework, force things into this like split of just 2 items, this yin and yang. So even though it has 3 things, it's like, oh, it's 3 though. It's like, just erase that and don't care about that for, at least for like the start, when you're first thinking about things. Don't care about 2nd trimester. Just focus on 1st and 3rd and the differences there, and then the 2nd can fall into that. So it made me realize that anytime you have 3 things, I'm noticing that 2 of them tend to be more important than the other one, like a lot of the time. And I guess that's not really a new realization, but I think it's just I'm having a new way of representing it, because what I used to do a lot was this triangle where I would put like the 2 extremes side by side like this, 1st versus 3rd, as a yin yang, and then I would have the odd man out. So I would draw a triangle, and the bottom part of the triangle, or top, or whatever, this part, I would always have like 2 things side by side. So they're like paired with each other because they're totally opposite. And then the guy on the point of the triangle would always be like by himself. He doesn't have a partner to pair against. He's the odd man out. And that would usually be the thing in the middle if I have 2 extremes that I'm comparing. Or if I have like 3 things where one is overarching and more important, then I would put the important guy on the top. I'm just going to draw a crown like a king. And then I would put like his little 2 like less important themes that are like also there underneath. Like, I think my first thought as an example for this would be like, when you're talking about infective endocarditis, it's mainly caused by staph. So that's the important one to remember. But then if you want to talk about subacute infective endocarditis, which is like slower, it's the same thing, but it takes longer to happen. Then you have like strep viridans. And there's like some other thing that I don't even remember because it was so unimportant. It doesn't get brought up barely ever. But there was like some other thing that we learned that also causes that. So it's like when I'm talking about infective endocarditis, you see how instead of there being 2 important ones, like over here, and 1 less important odd man out, it's actually 1 important odd man out and then 2 less important items on the list that are also part of that framework. So that's why I draw it like upside down triangle. I put, if there's an important pair, if the pair is more important than the odd man out, then I put the pair on top. And then if the odd man out is more important and the pair are like the 2 underlings that are kind of less important topics, I put them underneath on the bottom, and I'll put the important guy on top. So that's what I used to do with my triangles. Not really used to, I mean, I'll still do it, but I don't draw triangles as often because since it's basically about like this yin yang that's important, right? I now will like simplify my approach to where instead of using a lot of different shapes, I tend to do this yin yang tree and just stick to that. So just splitting everything into two and keep going. And I don't use other shapes as much. So it's like I now will represent the same thing. Instead of using a whole triangle, I'll just put the two extremes, the first and third trimester, and just not even write the second. Or if I really wanted to write something, I put like a dotted line and put it there, parentheses or something. But basically, yeah, that's it. Basically, the idea is when you have three things, it really does tend to be the case that two of them are more important than than the third one. Or maybe one is more important than the other two. So it's like you can still force them. You can turn 3 items into just 2 items, and it works really well. You don't even have to force it that hard.